Large Enterprises, who is the host of today's event.
After listening to the first set of questions, the Executive Director, Large Enterprises at the Bank of Industry, Mr. Simon Aranonu, responds.
We have funds from Dangote Foundation, which is dedicated to providing, funding for traders, distributors of locally manufactured products. So if the drugs you want to sell are locally manufactured, and you can prove it that they are locally manufactured, you will be a candidate to qualify for that facility to enable you to distribute. What we don't want to do is that we don't want to create jobs for foreigners who are outside this country, for foreign countries. For every good, anything you distribute that's made abroad, you are creating jobs for somebody abroad, no matter what it is. So, and our people need jobs. And if we buy goods that are made in Nigeria, then we are creating jobs for our people back home here. So that's what I can be able to explain on that. Show that you are selling locally produced drugs. You will be a candidate that can qualify for the Dangote Foundation Fund, which is for local distribution of locally manufactured products. I think that question partly answers AK's question. Our friend AK of Machandani of Sona Group, who asked about how we can support, exports. Again, as I was saying, by mandate, we don't finance trade. When you are exporting, you are doing trading. But when you are manufacturing, Bank of Industry is there. However, we work in partnership with other DFIs. If you need assistance, we can introduce you, to senior people in Nexim who are going to provide you the kind of funding you need and the contacts you need to enable you to sell your products overseas. Fourth one is about the production hubs for textiles. I hope I got it right. Yes, I want to say that the first major production hub for textile manufacturing that can run out 5,000 copies every 5 minutes or every 1 hour? Yes. Every 1 hour of any dress you want, okay, has been financed by Bank of Industry. It was commissioned only a month ago in Abeokuta. They are the ones, I want to tell you that we finance it 100%, and they are the ones who made the clothes I'm wearing now. All of us are wearing. Okay?
More questions rolling on bank guarantees, collateral, moratorium, loan refinancing, forex and infrastructure, as well as support for the oil and gas sector.
The first is that most of those clients are asked to go through a commercial bank. And the commercial banks only make 1% for their bank guarantee. And because they're not making a spread, and if the loan were to crystallize, they take the full loan, risk of the loan, they're very uneager to bank healthcare. That's the first one. Second is your collateral. You are doing project-based financing. To my mind, when you do project-based financing, the equipment should be the collateral, and we should be able to use other innovative mechanisms to find different ways to be able to collateralize the loan. The third issue is the moratorium. You will give a moratorium on the principal, but interest starts to tick immediately. Now that is a big challenge. If equipment hasn't arrived the country, and if people have money in the bank, then they won't borrow. But the equipment hasn't arrived the country. The average lead time on major equipment is 12 to 14 weeks, plus shipment and so on and so forth. Yet they're told to pay interest elements immediately.
I think the BOI will probably need to look at talking or working with CBN to create that intervention specifically to support natural gas processing. Because, we're flaring everything every day. If you go on the oil fields, you will see it. And for us, this is where we work and we see the gap. Now, and in truth, the foreign lenders are beginning to get tired of Nigeria's oil and gas. Why? Because a lot of the issues internally. So for BOI that has the local capacity to support this, I think this is an area you have to concentrate on.
Mr. Aranonu again responds, while the Managing Director, Mr. Pt.2, puts the icing on the cake.
If we finance startups, if the project is a startup, we capitalize interest. If it's a startup. But if it's an existing business, we expect that you have other businesses you have been doing which have been generating cash flow from you. So you should be able to, from that business, at least pay interest on the new loan that you are asking for. It's only fair, you know. But if you say you have no business at all, this is the first business you are doing since you were born, you know, then in such situations, of course, we will be able to see how we can capitalize the interest, because we know you don't have the cash flow. But where we know you have cash flow, you should be able to pay interest during moratorium for the new project from the cash flow of the existing businesses you have. That will even tell us that even if the whole project has a problem, that you have a fallback that you can rely on. We've actually financed CNG plants in this country. We've done several LPGs. We've done even a mini LNG. We are very active in the gas sector. In fact, I did mention when I was speaking that we've done 1,377 megawatts in power generation through, many of those are customers who have captive energy, off-grid power, now firing their factories. Many of them, our own customers who are into gas, are actually providing gas for the turbines. You know, so we are strong on gas, and some of our customers who were sponsored their thermal units that are gas fired, you know, can attest to the fact that our own customers who we finance are the one providing gas to fire the plants.
We are working on a separate scheme, you know, to finance modular refineries. We've gone very far with one or two banks in China, you know. About $500 million we're working on. You know, hopefully in the next few months we'll conclude it. That money will be available for the type of thing that you want to do. There are some things we are trying to get right, because most of those modular refineries that you're talking about cannot actually produce petrol, because when you get to the area of petrol, the cost of refineries get more expensive. So many of them are going to do diesel and some derivatives. Most of those products will be sold in Naira. So if you are borrowing a lot of dollars and you are selling in Naira, then you are solving a problem now, but you are creating another problem for the future. So one of the things why it has delayed that product from being in the market is that we are trying to see whether we can actually use local currency, you know, like the swap CBN has done with China, whether we can also use that for what we want to do, so that you can actually use Naira and buy, you know, using the Chinese currency, the RMB, you know, and then pay back. But we are working on it, and it's quite advanced, so that we address the problem that you are looking at. You also mentioned the fact that maybe there are some people that have access, some of you, to funds overseas, but they are looking for banks to give them the counterpart funding. Yes and no, because what we have seen is that most Nigerians will come and tell you that we have $500 million coming from somewhere, and they want the bank to pay the 15%. So if the bank is paying 15% on your behalf, you know, so what is the equity of the person that wants to set up a refinery worth $400 million, for instance? So we want the people that want to do it to put in some equity. And the way government was looking at modular refineries, basically, they are trying to encourage and help people in the oil-producing areas. You know, for instance, we have a lot of people who go there, they bust the pipes, and they boil the oil to try and create local refineries. One of the problems that we are also having in putting together a structure is that some of these guys cannot put down the 15% that you are looking for. Most of the funds we are looking at overseas require between 10 and 20% equity. So are you going to ask a militant to put down 20% equity on a modular refinery? It's not going to work. So now we have to structure how that 15% will be taken care of. And we have gone quite far, getting some of the, like Nigerian Content Development Board, to probably take 10% of the equity, so that we can reduce what the locals need to put up, maybe 5%. And the idea is that once we get the thing operational, maybe 3-4 years down the line, then you can sell that 10% to Nigerians, whether to the stock market. So we are working on creative ideas to make it work. Otherwise, you have a product that nobody can use. You have it, it's 15%, they can't get the money. But it's quite advanced. You know, I'm sure in a couple of months you hear that BOI has done something in that area.
The Customer Engagement Forum is one of the major channels the Bank of Industry deploys to obtain feedback from its clients and provide solutions to their challenges. BOI supports businesses that engage in manufacturing and processing activities, either in the agro-processing, solid minerals, information technology, oil and gas, and the creative industry, just to name a few. Make a move today and let the Bank of Industry support you. Visit any of their offices close to you or log on to their website at boi.ng. You can apply for BOI loans online. Simply download the BOI SME Loan app from the Google Play Store and follow the instructions. Feel free to tweet at me at KAY Alliance for further inquiries. You can watch previous editions of the program on youtube.com by simply typing BOI Weekly in the search area. That's our show for today. Many thanks for watching. I am Kayode Alliance. Bye now.